Hey dudes, welcome to Game Suit. My name's Joe.
It's Ed.
And we're not playing, but we're watching some footage that I recorded earlier of a game called Nioh, which is only for the PS4, but luckily the PS4 has a really cool share feature so that you can record video of games that you're playing. So that's what this is. And I wanted to highlight this game just because it's a very design-centric kind of game. It's similar to, obviously, Dark Souls. You can tell already looking at it, and if you've heard anything about the game, you know that it's in that same kind of vein. And those kind of games are what we like to focus on here on Game Soup. Whether it doesn't matter the genre so much, but just very design-centric games. So I'm going to be explaining a lot of the mechanics and a lot of how the game works, and Ed's going to be chiming in with some questions that hopefully I'll be able to answer. But I don't know the answers to everything probably.
What is the 70th digit of pi? No, I'm just kidding.
9.
9! So I noticed there's stances. I've heard about that feature. Do you know, how does that play?
It's similar to in Bloodborne, how you can change between the two different variants of each weapon.
Oh, I see.
The two different kinds of, like you'll have the long-range, slower one usually, and then the alternate fire.
And that's what this is?
Alternate fire. Alternate mode. And
Alt
that's
fire.
sort of what this is like.
Okay.
You've got the high stance, the mid stance, and the low stance. You can see it in the bottom right, how that looks on the UI. And the high stance is the slow one. The mid stance is kind of the average one, which is generally the easiest one to predict how the movements are going to go. And the low one is the slower, or not slower, the faster but quicker attack stance.
Okay, so you have 3 different options,
Right.
settings to attack, I guess.
And this game really throws you in the deep end. This is, I should also mention that this is the last chance trial. So this is kind of a, I don't know if you call it a beta, but this was kind of their last test before launch.
That loot.
Yeah, there's tons of loot. This game has a huge influence from Diablo as far as loot goes, which you'll see every enemy that you kill explodes into prizes.
It's random loot too, right? It's not
yes,
like,
it's
they're not
random loot
predefined.
with randomly defined traits.
It sounds like the perfect game.
This right here,
Yeah? Yeah, you died.
that fucking water.
Oh yeah?
This is the only thing that this is my only major, like there's good, bad, and ugly about it, about pretty much every game. That is the ugly of this game.
The water?
The water in this level. There are 2 places that you see water very early in the game. One of them you can go into, one of them you die if you go into it instantly.
Really?
So right there you saw me back away from that turtle, which is this game's version of a treasure goblin, by the way.
Okay.
But you saw me backing away from that turtle. This was before I realized he was pretty much harmless and basically a treasure goblin. I backed up and I fell right into the water. I swore a lot when I saw that.
What
when
is
that
this?
happened. That's your spirit animal. I guess I forget exactly what it's called. It's something like spirit animal though. And it gives you a stat boost when you have it. This is actually a really interesting mechanic. Remind me to go back to the other thing, though, after this. You can see in the top left, there's that glowing bull symbol.
Oh, yeah.
That means that is my spirit animal. You might have to rewind, but you'll see at other points there won't be a spirit animal there. When you die, your spirit animal guards your corpse. It guards your tomb.
Cool.
Until you come back. And when you pick it up, you'll regain your spirit animal. So when you die, you're actually a little bit gimped. Whereas in a game like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, you're still the same guy when you come back to life. In this,
Right.
you're slightly gimped on your run back to your souls. So this game is a little bit harder in that way and many, many other ways.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I've only played the beginning of the game, but I'm going to say I think this game is harder than Dark Souls and Bloodborne, which is saying a lot because those
Yeah.
are incredibly difficult games.
But also we should point out this is made by Team Ninja, completely different company.
Yes.
Clearly taking some design cues, but they're known for their difficult games. So if that was
Yes.
the case where this was much harder, I wouldn't be super surprised.
Yeah, for sure. What was I talking about? That fucking water.
The water.
Yeah, you fall directly into that water. You can't tell exactly how deep the water is. You're not sure if you're going to be able to go into it. It's very foggy. So, yeah, I fell into it, I think 4 times playing this demo.
Jesus.
I played this probably for 2.5, 3 hours. And I fell into that water 4 times. The first time, obviously none of the times on purpose, but the first time I wasn't sure if I was gonna die from going in it because you can't tell how shallow it is. Then there's a river that actually leads up to that body of water. So you would think that the running water you'd be able to fall in. The only clue though, actually there is maybe it's my fault, but there is a demon standing in the water at some point. So maybe I just wasn't paying attention, but I still fucking hate the water. So even if there is that cue that you can stand on the running water, the river part,
Right.
you're still going to be it's still going to give the impression that you can stand in water.
Right.
So I just found that to be really annoying. And the way that it's placed, you're trying to maneuver around it while battling guys. Maybe if you're going to have that kind of thing, make it more clear that you're going to fall in, and also bring it in later. Maybe like a later level in the game.
You know, they do have a saying in the Dark Souls community, which is that gravity is the hardest boss. Because that's usually the thing that kills you.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is not clearly... I think it's just not clear enough
that's
that you're going to fall into the water.
Yeah, if you're not sure whether you're going to die, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
But also... Is it true that this is not the actual beginning, like not the very beginning? This is a part later on in the game somewhere? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Actually, this might actually be a later part in the game, so that might be why it's so hard to just jump into. So,
was there like an intro cutscene or anything, or did it just sort of throw you in? Shark.
I can't remember actually. Yeah, I had the shark is actually pretty neat as your spirit animal. You see the HUD up in the top right, the mini map.
Right.
He lets you see where enemies are. So he's really good to have when you get into a new area. So that's why I had him here, because this was a new area to me. I think this is my first attempt at trying to beat this Tengu. He's kind of a mini boss. Nice. This is like an optional boss in the game, and he wrecks me. You will see very shortly.
So is there no way to block? Because when I think of Dark Souls, I think of blocking, but Bloodborne does not have really any sort of blocking.
Yeah, like... this does have blocking, but I don't block that much. This feels a little more like Bloodborne, where dodging seems better to me. So you'll see me dodging a lot more than blocking.
Yeah, the pace of the combat seems like it would be more conducive to that.
Yeah, it's a little more fast-paced than Dark Souls, and it's a little more conducive, I think, from what I played, to dodging rather than blocking. But I think that might be why I died a lot of the time, was because I didn't block enough.
I don't even know how you died just there. It looked like you were just fighting, and then all of a sudden you were gone.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
There's one thing that I love that I'm looking at right now on the HUD. You have an actual number for your health, your stamina, and damage.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, what you just saw me do there, every time you do a combo or an attack in this game, you have to play a rhythm game.
What?
You'll see around the character, and also on the stamina bar, which is the green bar in the top left.
Right.
You'll see this white area.
Oh, I see it now.
As that fills up, when you hit the R1 button, you'll regain that much stamina. This is integral to the gameplay. You are gimped if you do not play this rhythm game after every combo.
Play this rhythm game. So
you have to time it fairly well. You don't have to get it perfect, but you have to get it... The window is big enough that it's fair. It's sort of like the active reload in Gears of War.
Okay. So when do you want to push it?
When the bar is fully white. When that green bar, you'll see how it turns white.
Uh-huh. But only part of it turns...
Yeah, part of it turns white. But the whole red area will turn white eventually. So you want to get it when you have the most white over the red area. Let's just wait and see here.
That's really interesting.
So you'll notice me hit it sometimes and miss it sometimes.
Okay.
It's a lot to take in playing this game, learning all these new mechanics, as well as trying to watch the enemies and figure out their patterns. Is very, very difficult.
And you don't want to keep your eyes on the HUD any more than you have to.
Right. But there is a visual cue around the character as well, which you'll notice. There's some blue energy. You just saw it right there. It was really quick, though, because I dodged.
It's so hard to take all of this in. Even though like everything is familiar, there's still a lot to look at.
I'm also generally not very good at these kind of games. Ed is a lot better at these kind of games. And a lot of things I kept thinking was, I wish Ed was playing this. 'Cause I would have rather just watched him play it, but he doesn't have the PS4.
Yeah, this is my kind of game, probably.
But yeah, this is definitely more of an Ed kind of game than a Joe kind of game. Yeah, you just saw me hit it right there.
Yeah,
I think that was a pretty good hit. Wasn't paying full attention, but I think that was a pretty good play of the rhythm game there.
Is that indicator when you flash blue? Is that for when you should hit it, or when you have successfully?
You should hit it like right as those the energy congregates on the character. Okay. Is usually when that white bar is going to be at its fullest on the stamina. So you do get. I didn't really use the stamina bar. I mostly just used the indicator around the character.
Okay, that's nice
for gaining the stamina back. And again, I have to say this is integral to the game. Like in Dark Souls, and Bloodborne, when you want to regain stamina, the only way to do it is just to stop.
Right.
Just to stop and rest for a moment. This, you can stop and rest, but you lose stamina a lot faster. The game is balanced around hitting that almost every time. Around hitting that, playing that stamina game every time.
Super fast paced. Then.
Yeah, it's just an extra thing to think about. And you also have 2 weapons in this game that you can have equipped at any time, and you can also go... Yeah, pretty scary. This is a cutscene. This is actually the first main major boss of the game. I never killed it.
Ogress. Oh, is this where you got stuck?
Yeah, I couldn't get past this.
This looks just like a Bloodborne boss.
And this is my first attempt. Yeah, it's got a little bit of Bloodborne. I mean, yeah, as far as the design, a little bit, but it's more, obviously more Japanese than European.
Right. Yeah.
In the where they took the lore from.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's derivative. I don't mean that at all. I just mean, like,
nah.
Especially with the way the gameplay sort of plays out pace-wise, and
yeah, it feels more like Bloodborne than Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
It's just good. A lot of people really love Bloodborne. I've still not played it.
Yeah, I liked Bloodborne more than Dark Souls. It was a little more playable to me. I've also never beaten any of those Souls type of games.
Here's one other thing I really wanted to ask about, which is random loot. So is there an inventory system? Is there a way to manage all this tons of loot that you get?
Yeah, I think it was pretty well done from what I saw. I didn't spend a whole lot of time doing inventory management, but I think they did a pretty good job with it. Like almost every enemy drops a weapon or an armor or some kind of an item that you can potentially use. And you get obviously way too much, and it's like
Right.
Diablo in that way. And I guess I'll just talk about it now since you asked. You'll see it later on at the shrines. You can disenchant any item you want, and you get experience points for that, which is called Amrita in this game, but it's basically the souls. You can disenchant every item for souls.
Wait, do you also get experience for killing stuff?
Yeah,
So you get, okay, that's cool. So
yeah, you get experience for everything.
nice, even for disenchanting.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot, but I'm not sure. I hope there's a disenchant all button. I didn't use it, but I kind of hope there is, because you do get a ridiculous amount of loot.
Yeah, I can
in
imagine.
this game.
Are you limited to how much you can hold at any one time?
That I'm not 100% sure about. I know that there is an overburden status that you get from having too much armor on.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that there are weights
That
in the
could-
game for stuff that you have actually equipped, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure about carrying
That might
items.
be different. Because, like, Demon Souls, the original Demon Souls for the PS3 actually had an item burden where you couldn't carry too much stuff.
Oh, I like
on
this
you.
guy. There's a lot to talk about with this enemy here. This is one of my favorite enemies, if not my favorite enemy so far. Oh yeah, these guys too. These little Kodama guys.
Uh-huh.
Whenever you save one of those, they appear on your shrine. So every time you go back to the shrine, you'll have a bigger collection of those guys. And what they do is at the shrine, you can flick on. There's 4 different ones, I think, depending on which hat they're wearing, and they increase a drop rate for a certain type of item.
Ooh.
So you can get like recovery items, or you could up your weapon drops. I forget exactly what each one does, but
Whoa.
there's a ton of little customizable things. I think even more in this than any other Souls-like game that I've seen.
Oh, I love that, man. That sounds
I really
great.
think you would love this game.
Sounds great. Because, I mean, Dark Souls games and Diablo games are probably my two favorite genres. Like, random loot is awesome.
Yeah,
in a game
this
like this.
this is definitely, I mean, closer in gameplay to a Souls type of game, but the loot system is very, it's Diablo.
Are
It's
there-
almost not directly, but it's
Yeah,
a pretty close
enough.
facsimile.
Obviously,
very close copy of it.
inspired to some extent.
Yeah, and you get the different colors, like the purple ones are epics,
Right,
and
that's what I was
the
gonna
blue
ask.
ones are rares, and they have more enchantments based on the rarity.
Are there, like, unique or legendary items, too?
I think so. I haven't gotten anything legendary. The best thing I got was a purple, I think. Oh, this is cool too. I'm going to show you the hand cannon. I'm about to shoot this guy with a bow and arrow, but I decided to do a overkill.
What is that?
You get like a bazooka.
A hand cannon.
Yeah. So there's you can have 2 melee weapons equipped and 2 guns equipped at any time. And I was talking about this earlier. You can go into the equipment menu and equip any other weapon that you have in your inventory at any time. So you have access to all types of weapons at all times. But there's also skill trees. So
Skill trees?
Yeah, you can really only I'm pretty sure that I have some footage of that later on, but you can increase your abilities on a specific type of weapon, so it does encourage you to specialize in one thing.
Okay.
So you'll notice that I use Kusarigama a lot in this, which roughly translates to scythe on a chain.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, but this actually isn't. Oh yeah, this is. It's scythe on a chain, I guess. I don't know. That's what it looks like.
Like a scythe whip, sort of?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I, for some reason, like that. Okay, here's where this guy gets interesting. This little guy. I didn't kill him in time this time, and he transforms into this if you don't kill that little Cyclops guy in time. So I thought that was a really neat mechanic, the way that this guy works.
Did you just heal?
Yeah, I healed.
How do you-
You have what's it called?
Like
the
Estus
flasks.
Flask.
Estus Flask. Yeah, you have those in this game. And what I really like is you don't have to farm them at all. Every time you die or go to a shrine, they refill up to whatever your current maximum Estus
Good.
Flasks is.
Good, that's great.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like Momodora, Reverie in the Moonlight does that.
Right.
And this does that. There's no reason to make a player grind for healing items. I think that's too annoying. I think earlier versions of this game actually had, like the alpha and earlier beta builds, you had to actually grind it out every time.
Yeah.
To get healing items.
That was one of Bloodborne's, I don't know, people would say one of the game's biggest flaws, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, this does not have that flaw.
That's good. That's good. That's great to hear, actually.
So this is the first time I've seen, this is the first time that I saw this guy turn into this big Cyclops guy, and I had the balls to try to fight him.
Is he a regular enemy? Like there are multiple copies of him just wandering around?
I haven't seen more than one copy of this guy.
Whoa.
Of this Cyclops guy, but yeah, he throws a rock at you, I found.
Also, I noticed this is mostly one-on price. This is mostly one-on-one combat, right?
There's the monsters they usually send at you one at a time, but the humans and like the skeleton guys, they'll send those at you like two at a time. I don't think I've seen more than two at a time so far in the game, though.
Being a fan of the original Dark Souls, I like that when.
So here's a good strat for this guy. You can get his life down, way down, and when he transforms, he keeps the same life bar.
Oh.
So he's not too hard when he has that tiny life bar. You can see how much he has left. I just threw a bomb at him and killed him.
Nice.
So that works. I don't think you actually get any extra loot, though, from killing him in his big form. So it's probably best to just kill him as the small guy. But if he is going to turn big, you might as well weaken him a little. Try and weaken him as much as you can. There's 5 main types of weapons in this game. There's axes, swords, double swords, kusarigama, and
triple swords.
What was the other one?
Guns. Are there guns?
Yeah, I've seen 3 different types of ranged weapons. I think there are 3 different types. There might be more, but there's guns, cannons, which was that bazooka type of thing you saw earlier, and bows and arrows. And guns, I think they alert enemies, but they're powerful. Bow and arrow is stealthy but weak, and the hand cannon is obviously the most extreme as far as making noise and damage go.
Nice. I'm really enjoying the variety that you get here. I mean, just from what you've told me so far. And like the fact that you can change stances, you just did that like quickly.
Yeah, for small enemies like close to the ground, that's why I switched to the lower stance here. So just to get rid of this guy real quick, I use the lower stance, and I'll probably switch to a normal stance or a higher stance for this guy. I'm not sure. Yeah, so you can see there I switched to the normal stance to fight this guy.
How adequately does the game teach you about that, like the stances and all the various mechanics? There
is a tutorial that you do before this, and I'd say it's adequate enough for the beta. I think. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more in depth when the game comes out, though. Which is, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, only in 2 weeks. I think it's the 7th now.
Yeah, it's coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I want this. I wish this was on PC.
What else?
What does that minimap show you? All that I've ever seen there was, the red dot for the enemies, and whatever's on there now looks like nothing.
Yeah, you don't see a whole lot unless you have the shark familiar equipped. Right now I've got, it's a bird, some kind of bird, and it makes your dodges cheaper in stamina. It lowers the cost of your dodging. So if you like to play dodging, this is a good one.
Yeah.
A good one to use. And you can actually see how it's glowing right now. We're going to see this really soon, I'm pretty sure, in this clip, where if you press the triangle and circle button at the same time, you activate kind of like your ultimate mode, and you become invincible. I think your attacks do more damage, and that's the main thing. And I think it does an attack when you first activate it that might be unique for the animal that you have active. I'm not 100% sure.
Can you only do that once then?
One more thing, just because it just happened. You notice how I did the time thing. I forget exactly what it's called. It's like a restoration for your stamina.
Right.
Though. If you do that over those spirit things, that cloud, that sort of circular cloud of evil energy, what it looked like.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate attack. So I think that does a little bit of damage, and then you're invincible. So
that's pretty cool.
I just try to, and if you get hit though, it removes some of your bar there too.
Oh,
so
I see.
It doesn't actually damage your hit points though.
Oh, and is that charging now in the corner?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's charging up. No, I'm dead.
It charges pretty quickly, I would say.
Oh no, I wasn't dead there.
Just from looking at it now. Interesting.
But yeah, now I don't have my spirit animal, so I have
Right.
to go all the way back to the boss.
Oh, that
And
sucks.
it's actually not far. You can actually run straight to this boss. There, you can beeline for it and avoid fighting all the enemies.
Wow. Yeah, stuff hurts you in this game.
Oh yeah, I was talking about how when you see that evil circle, though, that
Right.
circle of evil energy, when you're over top of that, your stamina restores slower, because it's like the demon's putting down like a portion of demon realm. I forget exactly how they explain it. I think this is my kill of the Tengu that we're about to see, this mini boss. But if you're over that and you execute a combo and then win the rhythm mini game while you're over top of, you can see there's one right there actually,
Right.
where when you're over top of one of those, it'll delete it, it'll eliminate it entirely. So the enemies try to put these down. I can imagine it gets more difficult later. The enemies probably put more of these down, and maybe the field gets covered with them at some point. I imagine there's probably at least one boss or enemy in the game that does something like that. So you really need to master knowing where to do the rhythm game.
Right.
So it gets the combat gets. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
switching. There's 3 stances. You can have 2 each of ranged and melee weapons. You can actually switch between those really quickly in the middle of combat as well. So if you really want to get advanced, you can do that. You can see I pretty much stuck mostly with the Kusarigama for this, but here I killed this guy with just a regular sword.
Earned 1 samurai skill points.
But yeah, there's a lot to think about, a lot to get used to. So if you're used to Dark Souls and Bloodborne, this is going to introduce a whole extra layer to that for you. And also it. From what I understand, I don't have the muscle memory that a lot of Dark Souls and Bloodborne players might have, so I didn't have to unlearn a lot playing this.
Right.
I'm kind of going into this fresh as like a noob, I guess you would say. I kind of hate that word.
That can be helpful, though.
But yeah,
for a
it's,
game like this.
yeah, I don't have to unlearn anything.
Yeah.
When I'm playing it.
If you pause the game, is this real-time pause like Dark Souls, or can you actually pause?
You can't actually pause. You cannot. You can't. The action continues if you pause.
Okay. Speaking of which sort of begs the question: is it multiplayer that you know of?
I think it is. Yeah.
Because that's kind
I think you can summon guys.
Okay.
Yeah, you can summon other players to come and help you. So yeah, I just killed the Tengu there barely, and I'm trying to decide, should I go back? I'm not sure if the Tengu's going to respawn, but I decided to have the balls to just go into this room and see what was there. So you'll see. This is actually kind of funny.
So I noticed that when you pick up gear, it doesn't tell you anything about its stats. Do you have to like go into your inventory and then compare it directly to your stuff?
Yeah, but it gives you an attack value of
Mimic.
it, so you can kind of tell what's going to be good. Yeah, it's a mimic,
Okay.
but luckily I'm glad that it doesn't actually hurt you. It just kind of sends you flying back a little bit.
You have 11 hit points.
Yeah, I have no hit points. And
Oh. Is
it
a
turns
vendor?
into this guy, and I don't know. I thought he was a vendor, actually. I thought exactly the same thing. But then he did that, and I was like, oh, no, fuck this.
He looks like a vendor, yeah.
Nope.
Like,
Kind of noped out of there.
how come it took him so long to aggro?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's funny.
But it kind of creeped me out when I first played it. I really like the game design of the enemies, as well as the art design of the enemies. And
Wow.
like the Kodama, all the design really I liked. The only thing I kind of didn't like was the fog, and everything kind of looks a little grayish. I mean, it gives kind of it does give that eerie effect. Oh, it's a Diablo chest right there. Like direct Diablo chest, and I got a bunch of epics, so I don't know if I left this footage in, but you can see.
Wow.
You see that attack number, attack multiplier, that
Uh-huh.
kind of tells you how good it is generally.
Okay,
So you
so-
don't have to look at everything.
Good. It does give you comparisons then.
Yeah. So you can kind of tell what you want to disenchant.
Man, this sounds great.
Yeah, I think there's more systems and things you can tweak and customize based on your preferences in this than the other Souls games. Not other Souls games, than, Souls and Bloodborne games.
Right. Yeah, I really love that there's... I'll say it again. There's numbers for health and stamina. You know how many
Yeah.
times that would be like such an important thing or useful thing to have in Souls games?
And you can notice this mimic,
Yeah.
I had the hammer out when I approached him, so he pulled a hammer out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So
he'll
you
just
can
do whatever.
kind of control the mimic to what
Right.
you want. I didn't know that's how it worked when I got here, but I discovered that pretty shortly. So yeah, if you want him to attack slowly but have strong attacks, just approach him with a hammer and then
Whoa.
switch to a Kusarigama and keep your distance.
What about in the bottom right corner where the souls would normally be? I'm assuming one of those is Amrita,
Yeah. I think the bottom one is your souls.
and the top one, is that actually money? Is that currency or something?
Yeah, that's your currency, which I don't know what that's for.
Coins with a hole in them. I
Yeah.
don't know. There must be vendors somewhere. Maybe not in the demo. Who knows? Interesting.
And yeah, there's his prizes. He was a mimic, so he dropped a lot.
Prizes, man. Monsters with prizes.
So yeah, that's pretty much the end of what I had recorded. There's a little bit of extraneous footage, so we could do an outro here, but that's pretty much the basic idea of the game.
This looks great. I'm gonna at least watch it on Twitch, watch somebody else play it, vicariously.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm probably not gonna buy it. At least not on launch. I might get it when if it goes down in price later on. But yeah, I'm really bad at these kind of games, so I know I would probably not make it all the way through the game, just out of frustration at some point.
I think for diehard Souls fans, this is probably already on their radar, and B, they're already gonna buy it. So.
Yeah. This is definitely, from a design standpoint, this is something that you're at least gonna wanna try playing. Maybe borrow a friend's copy or whatever, and check it out. So this, at the very least,
yeah.
Just there's a lot to be learned from this as far as design goes, I think. So it's a perfect game for GS.
Cool. Nioh, January 7th is when it comes out. Just about 2 weeks. Well, thanks for sharing this footage with us, Joe. I learned a lot. I'm really looking forward to it. So I guess we'll call it there. Why don't we'll stop and we'll see you next time here on Game Soup.
Thanks for watching, guys.